What's up, guys? Moving forward with the project here. We are still working with the passenger side rear flare mold. I've gone ahead and done a cleaning cast to get all of the excess clay and stuff out of the corners and out of the edges, just to clean it up, make it really good. We don't want any of that stuff transferring onto our final pull here. You can see it's looking a lot better than it was before. That cast, just like I said, just pulls out all the extra little clay and stuff that's very hard to get with a tool or with your finger or whatever, so it just makes it look a little extra clean. I did go in with some 400 grit sandpaper and just kind of wet sanded the inside of it too, just to eliminate a little bit of the extra roughness and stuff that was in there that I could feel with my hand as I ran my hand over it, and it's in great shape right now. So we are ready to go ahead and apply our new mold release agent, which I have put in this little bottle right here. Again, this stuff is called Fiber Release by a company called Fiberglass. I've never used this stuff before, so I'm not really sure how it's going to turn out. Hopefully it turns out really good. Supposedly this stuff will replace both the PVA and the wax, so we'll see. We will see how it works. If it doesn't work very well, then we'll just scrap it and we'll do the PVA and the wax method, because we know that works. It takes a little bit more time to do that. Hence why I opted to try this. Maybe save me a little bit of time, but you know, either way, we're gonna get this thing pulled out here, get a good copy of this thing pulled out. So I'm gonna go ahead and spray this stuff on, and then it says I need to wait for about 5 minutes to let it kind of, almost like the PVA, it becomes a film on the top, so it will create a little barrier between the gel coat layer that I'm gonna put on the top and the mold itself. That way it will give me a nice release when I'm ready to pull it out. So I'm gonna go ahead and spray this stuff on and let it sit for 5 minutes and see if we get the film that they're talking about. Let's give it a shot. Alright, well, I got the stuff applied, and as you can see, I did end up going in with a little shop towel and wiping it in. This little spray bottle's a little janky piece of shit. It was just beating up way too much. The water was just beating on that thing. It didn't have a good smooth spray to it, so I didn't trust it. I felt like I had to go in with a little shop towel and wipe it in, which according to the directions is fine. It says you can either spray or wipe it, so I figure it's not going to hurt at all. So we got it all evenly applied. I think it should be sufficient. It didn't say I needed a ton of it, just said I needed a good solid layer over the entire piece, and that's what I have here. I will say one thing about this stuff is it doesn't smell real good. It smells kind of funky, man. I don't know. Kind of, yeah. But anyway, if it works, I don't care how it smells. So I'm gonna let this sit. It says about 5 minutes before it starts to become a nice little film, a little barrier film. So I will leave it out here for about 5 minutes and come back and see what we got. Alright guys, we have allowed sufficient time for the Fiber Release mold release to dry to a nice dry film on the top, something that you can touch. And we are now ready to go ahead and start laying up the white gel coat into the mold. Now again, I've never used this particular mold release agent before, so I hope I get a nice release on it, otherwise that's going to be a real bad day. Anyways, I think it should be fine. I'm not worried about it too much. So I'm going to go ahead and apply the white gel coat with a chip brush, just like I did last time, only this time I'm going to add a little bit more gel coat than I did last time. I felt like I might have applied a little bit too thin of a layer last time, and I felt like when I was refining, I was just getting through the gel coat down into the fiberglass way too quickly. So I'm going to do a little extra thick layer of gel coat in here. Not overly thick, but something a little bit more sufficient than last time. Now it is getting a little bit late here, so I'm not going to be able to come back out here tonight. It's going to take a little while for the gel coat to cure completely, so I'm going to go ahead and let it cure overnight and come out here tomorrow morning and then apply my 2 layers of fiberglass, and then we will pull this thing out. Now, I'm very, very excited to get this thing out and get it refined and all that. Once I have both flares refined, both the driver's side and the passenger side refined. I'm going to put them on the car. I probably won't rivet them just yet, but I'm gonna put them on the car really securely, get them in the exact positions and all that. And I'm not 100% on this, but I may go ahead and start the process on cutting my quarter panels, because I want to put the wheels on this car completely, take it off the jacks and pull it out of the garage with the flares, the back flares completed on it, and see what this thing looks like. I am just dying to see what it looks like. Beside that, I'm just tired of seeing my Z on jack stands. Can you believe my car has been in this garage? I've not driven it in, I think, about 4 months. It might be 3, but I think about 4 months I have not driven my Z, and that is just not acceptable. So I need to take the car out, you know, just get it out there in the driveway at least, and you know, leave it aired up. If I don't cut my quarter panels, I'm gonna have to leave it aired up, but at least I'll be able to see what the flares look like with the wheels on the car. I haven't even seen what that looks like yet, so I'm totally stoked about that. But anyways, that's the plan. We'll get this gel coat laid up, get the fiberglass in it tomorrow morning, and have it pulled out by probably mid-afternoon tomorrow, and then we'll start the refining stage. Now this mold, like I said, is way better than the other ones, so I think that the refining is going to take a whole lot less time on this flare than the first one did, especially with the extra gel coat that I'm going to put in there. I think it's going to really save me a ton of time, because I just had to keep going back and adding body fillers so much to those little holes that I was putting in it as I was getting through the gel coat. So there inevitably will be a little bit of that in this, but I think it's going to be far less refinement time on this one, and I couldn't be happier about that, because that took a shitload of time. Alright, so anyways, let me go ahead and apply this gel coat, and I will give you guys an update when I can. Alright guys, white gel coat layer 1 has been applied, as you can see. Now I'm going to end up doing 2 coats of this. This is the unwaxed gel coat, so it's going to remain tacky, and I'm going to be able to just go ahead and lay up the second layer of gel coat without doing any sanding. It's not necessary because there's no wax in it, and it will adhere to itself just to thicken it up a little bit more. Now I was able to get this amount of coverage right here with 1 pint, so I'm going to go back in with probably a half or 3/4 of a pint just to double up on this coat right here just a little bit, and that should be perfect. So I'm going to go ahead and let this cure right here, and then come back out tomorrow morning and do the fiberglassing, and we're going to be good to go. Well guys, didn't want to have to make this part, but looks like we've suffered our first major setback of the entire project so far, and I'm fortunate to be able to say that this is the first setback. We've been alright so far, but we had a big setback this time, and here's the mold, as you can see, and a lot of white in there, and a lot of those white pieces are actually missing pieces of the mold at this point. Yeah, the fiberglass mold release, the fiber release stuff did not work, to say the least. It did not want to release whatsoever, and it's not for a lack of proper application. Let me tell you, I made sure to follow the instructions, the application instructions to the T, and I also prepped the mold very well. I wet sanded the whole thing down just to get an extra smooth surface and everything, so it wasn't that the mold wasn't ready. It was just that the stuff just didn't work. So what happened is that the positive that I laid up, the 2 coats of gel coat and the 2 layers of fiberglass that I let cure overnight last night, was completely destroyed as I tried to demold it today. It actually took me like 3 hours just to get the thing out of the mold, because I was being so careful to carefully pry the thing out, so as not to break the mold. If my mold would have been destroyed, then I would have had to completely resculpt the passenger side rear flare, which would have been absolutely devastating. It's about 40 hours of work there that I would have had to redo the whole thing. Fortunately, the mold is it's still in one piece. It's good. It's heavily damaged in some areas that I'm going to have to go ahead and fix up. I'm going to have to use liberal use of super glue and resin to fix it up, get it back into shape. But there's lots of little areas that need to be corrected on the mold at this point. I'm going to show you a couple of things. So this is the gas cap area, and you can see here, my camera focuses, These big old chunks out of it right here are areas that actually broke off the mold, and there's numerous little cracks, especially through the edges and the corners and stuff in there. As I had to pry the positive out, you can see there's the positive, and this area right here especially is completely destroyed. I had to actually break it out. I mean, it was absolutely seized. It dislodged decently through the wide open areas here, but when it came to the corner areas down in here, it was just absolutely seized. So I had to really get a knife in there and pry it out really good, very slowly, like I said, so as not to break the mold. And you can see going along the edge here, there's several other areas that are broken. Over here is especially bad. I lost this edge right here completely, and also this rivet mounting point right here was stuck to the cast, so I lost that. It's cracked in through here, down in through here, it's all cracked. So fortunately I was able to salvage a lot of these pieces right here, and I actually have them down here, and they actually fit back into the mold like a puzzle piece. So for example, like this, for example, this big piece right here is this piece right here. So I can actually just fit that back in, and it fits just like a puzzle piece. Okay, so I'm going to be doing as much as I can to try and salvage the mold, salvage those areas, and just super glue those pieces back into the mold. And then I'm going to try and do a recast, only this time I'm not going to be using that fiber release stuff. I should have known better too. It's totally my fault. I shouldn't have gone in with a release agent that I was not familiar with on such a sensitive project like this. I definitely shouldn't have. I should have just done what I knew to do, the way I always do it with the PVA and the wax release. And you know, just I got a little bit I don't know, I guess I just got a little greedy for time. You know, I figured I'd use that new stuff, see if it would save me some time, but in the end it actually did quite a bit of damage. So I'm not going to sit here and say that fiber release is a bad product. It definitely did not work for what I was trying to do. It actually set me back quite a bit, but you know, I'm not going to talk crap about it. Maybe it's good, I don't know, but didn't work for me. So I'm going back to PVA and wax, but it's going to take me at least another whole day just to get this mold back into castable condition, because it got all fucked up. It just got messed up. So got a setback, but it happens, you know, it's all right, it happens. I'm just really glad that my mold didn't get completely destroyed. It did get a little warped, which is troubling, because of how much I had to flex it to get the cast out, the bad cast. Well, actually the cast was fine, it just didn't release. But anyways, sorry to have to give you this kind of update. It's going to take a little bit more time for me to clean up the mold and then recast into it, but hopefully I can get this video up for you guys pretty soon. Alright guys, so here's the mold in its current state. I took the entire day yesterday just reconditioning the mold. It was very, very badly damaged. It was even more damaged than what I had first assumed, and I had to do quite a bit of work to get it into this shape right here, which is still a far cry from perfect, but it has the shape, it has the, you know, there's quite a few little warped spots and little areas where it bent and cracked, and it came out of shape, which I'm going to have to deal with once I get the cast pulled out of it, but I have it in a workable condition. At least I hope so. I believe so. I'm going to apply the release agents to this, the old-fashioned ones, not the fiber release stuff anymore. I'm not doing that. I'm going to go in with the PVA and the wax, and I'm going to do it the way I've always done it. And then I'm going to go ahead and lay up a new layer of gel coat, 2 more layers of fiberglass, and I'm going to pull this the old-fashioned way. And there's going to be a ton of refinement to do on this. There's just so many areas that are incorrect. The gas cap area just absolutely got murdered. So many cracks were around here that I had to seal up and body fill, and you know, I'm going to have to do a lot of body filler on the cast to fill in some of these chunks of gel coat that broke off. You know, I tried to put as many little pieces back in the mold as I could. When I was pulling it out, I was saving every little red piece of the mold, of the gel coat, that I could to fit it back in and glue it back on like a puzzle. You can see all this area right here is where I did extensive repairs. All of this entire section was all completely gone. You could see you could see right through to the fiberglass underneath, but I actually kept these pieces that broke off and I glued them back into the exact position, so you can't even tell at this point that that was gone at one time. Same thing on both sides. And then I actually had to body fill this front section because I lost that piece. I body filled it and reshaped it in with a piece of sandpaper, so it's not going to look perfect when the cast comes out, but it's something that I will be able to refine back into the perfect shape. The basic shape is there. It's there. So that's all I need. I need one just semi-decent cast out of this thing, and then I can toss this old broken mold, and I should be able to recondition the cast to get something clean like the other side like we got there. It will take a little while. It definitely will take a little while to recondition the cast, but I think I can do it. As long as I have this basic shape primarily, then we'll be good. Yesterday there was a point where I thought I was just dead in the water because I was out here working on it, and I had stepped out to go to the store. I had to buy something at the store, and I had come home, and I forgot that the sun comes through into my garage by about 3:00 p.m. and I had totally forgot about it. I was working on it in about this position right here, and the sun had come over the mold, and it had actually heated it up, and so it melted and cracked. Like this whole front portion right here had collapsed, and I just thought the whole thing was completely destroyed, and I was going to have to resculpt the whole thing. But I took it into the shade immediately. I cried for a little bit. No, I'm playing. I took it into the shade, and I got my heat gun out, and I carefully re-massaged the mold back into as close as I possibly could to get back into the proper shape. You can still see these are some of the major cracks in there that it had collapsed just along those cracks. This whole section actually was like about right here because it had collapsed inward, but I re-massaged it back into the correct position, and then I actually put plastic to plastic weld silicone and really welded those cracks shut as much as I possibly could while it was in the correct position. And for every crack along the whole thing, because there are several, I used that plastic weld stuff from JB Weld, and it's pretty mean stuff. So we should be in good shape as far as those cracks are concerned. You can see another one right here. It was a nice big crack. That's just a lot of stuff that happened when I tried to pull that other cast out. So thankfully we have a decent shape here. It's not perfect, but it's something that I'm going to be able to pull a cast from, and then I'm going to toss this old mold, and then just, you know, do everything I can to clean up the cast and get it as close as possible to looking like that. I think I'm going to be able to do it though, guys. It's going to take a while to refine it, but I'm going to do it with a little bit of magic. Hopes and dreams, I guess. But anyways, that's where we're at with the mold. I'm going to go ahead and get started putting in the release agents at this point and get another cast pulled out of this thing. Wish me luck. Alright guys, so we got the new cast pulled out of the mold successfully. Good old PVA and release wax always does the trick. Can't go wrong with it, so highly recommend. Just go ahead and do the PVA and the wax release method. You're going to get a clean release. This thing was super easy to take out of the mold, no problem. So we do have a positive here that's going to be workable. As I stated before, it is going to be a hell of a lot of work to get this back into the correct shape. There are many areas that are going to require reworking because it just got warped and bent and just different little things. You know, if you look at pretty much any area on this thing, there's going to be something to correct. This whole section right here, you can see the imprint of where those cracks were, and this whole section right here, this portion right here is going to need a lot of work just to get this back into the correct position. But you know what? I think I'm going to be able to do it. I really do. I think it's going to take a while, but it's going to be something that's possible. This is what I wanted. I just wanted to have a positive that I pulled out that was all in one piece, wasn't cracked, wasn't damaged or anything, and this is what I got. So I am happy with this. I'm happy that I was able to at least get this out of that mold before I tossed it, and I'm happy with it. Now I am toying with one idea. If I am not able to get this thing back into a shape that I'm happy with, that's close to the original sculpt, then I may make use of the first cast that was destroyed when I tried to pull it out. And the reason I may use this one is because this was a perfect cast. This was very, very accurate to the sculpt, of course. It was a direct pull right out of an undamaged mold that was put over the sculpt as soon as it was finished. So it was a very accurate cast. It just unfortunately got destroyed as I was trying to pull it out because it wouldn't release. But many parts of this mold are still perfect. I was able to release this section, this same section that I was talking about on the one that I just pulled, almost perfectly right here. It got a little damage down here, but this section right here is extremely accurate. It's very, very accurate. So what I may end up doing, it's possible, it's definitely not a for sure thing, but if I cannot get this thing to look perfect, or something that I'm satisfied with, I may do a little transplant here. I may cut this and actually transplant the front end of this mold, or this cast rather, onto this cast and cut it off in exactly the same spot, and then re-fiberglass it and rebond it. I just think that that's going to be a way to get the perfect cast instead of having to, you know, try to fiddle around with this until it's perfect and never being fully satisfied with it. I think that is an option. It won't be particularly easy to do because you have to be so exact with your measurements when you're cutting a piece off and molding it onto another piece. Otherwise you're going to get, you know, a completely different shaped piece. You know, you got to have it perfect, but as long as I'm careful, I definitely think I'll be able to do that. So again, it's not a for sure thing. I may do it, I may not. If I can fix this with just body filler and sanding and, you know, the good old-fashioned refinement, then that's fine. I won't even have to do that at all. But it's a possibility. You know, I almost threw this thing out. In fact, I had it thrown out by the trash cans already. And after I pulled this thing out, I thought, you know what? That other cast is perfect in this area. So if I can't get this area right here fixed up, I may be able to still use that other cast. So we'll see what happens. But for now, this is where we're at. I'm happy with it. I'm gonna go ahead and get started on refinement right away. And it's gonna take a while. I imagine this will probably take me at least a week, possibly, very possibly even 2 weeks to get this thing fully refined and primed. And once we get to that stage, I'll be a super happy camper. And we can start to move on to those fronts. So that's it for this update, guys. I will see you guys in part 9.